Good Sunday morning to you all. Hopefully you're having a good morning this morning. We got another Watchmen update with a whole bunch of stuff we need to cover. We got new tariffs against, not China, but Canada by President Trump. That could be announced as early as tomorrow. Don't hate me. I'm just the messenger. Things may pop off with Iran in the next week or so. We're in the last round of diplomacy before, quote, something is going to happen very soon. And these are the words of President Trump. So we'll see. Much more aggressive sanctions on countries and companies still doing business with Russia. That could anger the bear quite a bit. Columbia University here in the U.S. loses half of $1 billion worth of U.S. funding. We're not talking about chump change here. $400 million plus some. We got a big cattle pellet recall we need to talk about. Hospital in North Carolina turning away patients. We have a Watchmen insider telling us what's going on with that. We got insulin, lunch meat, fresh vegetables, all in shortage. That and a whole lot more. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. And these are your updates that you guys are sending in from all over about what is going on out there, what you guys are seeing, and what you guys are hearing. If you have something to share with us, make sure you use the word update somewhere in your comment. Make sure you give some sort of geographical location too, if it's relevant to your comment. We appreciate all of the watchmen out there who are keeping their eyes out and ears out for what's going on. Make sure you're asking the staff at stores when you see a shortage. Ask a manager, ask someone who works at the store what's going on with that. That's super valuable information. All right, before we go any further, I do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people who have retirement accounts to get out of stocks and bonds. If you find that to be a little too risky to be in the stock market right now, but you have a retirement fund, like in an IRA, 401k, Jonathan and his team can talk to you about what it would look like for you to transfer some or all of that into physical precious metals. If you want to find out more, there'll be a link at the end of the video. A lot of you guys have moved forward with them, and I hear nothing but good stuff from you all about them. They've been partnering with this channel for about 3 years now, a little over 3 years. So it's been they've been a big supporter of this channel, and they also have really been taking care of those in our audience, the Watchmen. So we got new tariffs that could be coming on Canadian dairy and Canadian lumber to be announced probably tomorrow on Monday. They were hopefully going to announce this this past Friday, but that didn't happen. But they said Friday or Monday, so it looks like we're on Monday now. Just for some context here, Canada has over a 200% tariff on U.S. dairy. So if it costs $1 here in the U.S. and we try to export to Canada, they will make it cost over $3 up in Canada. Is it any wonder that very little of a U.S. dairy gets sold in Canada? And Trump is starting to hit back at this unfair trade practice for U.S. farmers. Also, Canada has a big tariff on U.S. lumber. If you go to stores across the United States and look at lumber, softwood lumber, you're mostly looking at Canadian lumber. You go up to Canada, do you see any American lumber up there? No, you do not. So President Trump is looking at bringing those tariffs against Canada shortly. Now, it may be announced tomorrow, but we don't know when it will actually take effect. President Trump on Iran and its pursuit of nuclear weapons had this to say: there will be some interesting days ahead with Iran. We are down to the final strokes with Iran. We are down to the final moments. We can't let them have a nuclear weapon. Something is going to happen very soon. I would rather have a peace deal than the other option, but the other option will solve the problem. Gee, what could he possibly be talking about? Now, I've talked about this on this channel repeatedly, but it's been a little while. Just to remind you that the Iranians are not like just another country. The Ayatollah and the religious leaders that are in charge of Iran believe vehemently that if they destroy Israel by any means necessary, This will usher in the apocalypse or the end times. They are a brand of Islam that believes that the 13th Imam will come back once Israel is destroyed. And they desperately want a nuclear weapon. Why do they want a nuclear weapon? It's pretty clear why they want a nuclear weapon. They want to destroy Israel at any cost. This isn't a democracy. This isn't like some sort of regular country. It's a religious fanaticism that controls the government at the highest levels. And if you look around the country of Iran, you see that they have literally built their society or the government and their infrastructure in their country based around the return of the 13th Imam. They literally built a giant mosque where the 13th Imam is supposed to reappear. Then they built a highway from there to the nearest airport, which they built custom for the 13th Imam. There's no reason to have a highway going between the airport and that mosque, other than so that the 13th Imam won't have to waste a few extra minutes. That's the kind of crazy we're dealing with here, and they want a nuclear weapon. And Israel knows the kind of crazy that they're dealing with and knows that there can be under no circumstances for them to be allowed to get their hands on a nuclear weapon, because they will use it against Israel. They'll threaten to use it, but they will use it. Even if it means half or more than half of their population gets killed in the resulting nuclear war, they will count that as fine. So, the United States is also kind of the opinion that that's probably not a good idea to let them have that. All right, moving on. Trump has cut off military support for that country in Eastern Europe, but it is now, we're now considering increasing sanctions on Russia, on companies, persons, and countries that continue to buy their oil and natural gas. Now, this is something that the Biden administration didn't do. This is something that the Europeans didn't do, because the Europeans are still buying Russian oil. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. I'll probably not be allowed to go back to Europe again. That's fine. They're still buying natural gas and oil from Russia. They're buying diesel direct from Russia. They can't wean themselves off of it, so they just keep on doing it. Now, Trump sanctions may actually start sanctioning European companies that are still buying that stuff. That would be kind of uncomfortable. Anyway, basically trying to squeeze Russia until Russia signs a peace treaty. Trump has cut $400 million. Let's just, with some additional ones on there, let's just round that up to $500 million from one university called Columbia University. Now, this is due to anti-Semitic, that's anti-Jewish, protests and threats from that university that have been tolerated and been, in some cases, actually propagated by the university itself. We're talking about professors. We're talking about events sponsored by the university that are anti-Jewish. So $400 million worth of federal funding, gone. Lola, if you're anything like me, you're like, why were they getting $400 million? Why were the richest people in this country getting $400 million handout in the first place? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if it was like, inner city trade school for disadvantaged youth, okay, I could see them getting money. But I mean, we're talking about Columbia University. Like, these are the richest people in the country getting in there, right? Lola says, ADM, cattle pellets, recall making cows sick, high levels of copper and zinc, unhealthy levels of copper and zinc. This is 33 lots in 3 states, Illinois, Tennessee, and Georgia. If you have cattle, make sure you are aware of that ADM cattle pellet recall. Michael says, I watched an interview of a retired New York prison guard. He stated that he was forced into overtime doing a whopping 3,000 hours in 1 year. And this is a lot forced overtime. That's 60 hours a week. Blondie says, Connecticut charges us public benefits fees on our utilities. For most people who don't want, who won't or don't pay their bills. Same in Pennsylvania here. Mine was $68 on a $185 bill. I did not sign up for this. And yet, that's what most of our money going to government goes for, is subsidizing people stealing from our government and people who are freeloading off our government. And the same thing with their utility bills. Most of the money for the utility bills isn't going to generate electricity or pump natural gas. It's going to pay for other people's bills who refuse to pay them. Same thing with our hospital bills. Most of our hospital bills go towards subsidizing the other 3 or 4 people that won't pay the bill that you're paying for theirs as well as yours. Andy says, we used to have a grocery and department store called Zellers here in Canada, spelled with a K. I can see where you're going with that one. Well, you know what happened? Target bought out Zellers and turned them into Target stores. Okay, fair enough. In 3 months, Target then closed all the Target stores, leaving a deep hole in the consumer market. Now, most of those former Zellers stores are left empty, and we are stuck with Wally World as the only big box store. Talk about a targeted attack, no pun intended. I am hoping that with these tariffs that some of these iconic consumer stalwarts will come back, like Byway, Kmart, Woolco, Sears Canada, Consumers Distributing. This is what happened after the Brian Mulroney and George W. Bush's free trade deal. I warned people at the time that at some point we would all be gathered around barrels burning wood to keep warm. Looks like I was correct. Not too far off, but as long as you're burning Canadian wood there, and unless you want to import some from America. PJ Proud says Reno, Nevada. Raleigh's Knob Hill, sorry. I purchased a bunch of organic spinach from Lakeside Organic Gardens. The chemical taste completely overpowered the flavor of the spinach. The location of the farm is Watsonville, California, just a hop and skip and jump from the lithium battery fire. Took it back, alerted the manager, and he immediately pulled it from the shelf, promising to report the issue. Lithium smoke goes up, lithium garbage rains down, and everybody gets medicated, whether they want to or not. What goes out into our environment gets sucked up by these plants, gets sucked up by our meat machines called cattle. Our environment is important. Now, I don't want you to ever get the idea that I don't care about our environment. I'm not for our Environmental Protection Agency because I think that's mostly a fraud and a scam because they're all worried about carbon dioxide. There's plenty of stuff that we need to be worried about, like lithium. Major lithium fires polluting farms all around for 100 miles is a serious concern. Those are nasty chemicals. Where was the EPA on that one? Nowhere to be seen. Jacqueline, in Hickory, North Carolina area. Limit on how many cartons of eggs we can buy. 18-count eggs now $11.69 here in North Carolina. Beef and chicken breast prices have risen in the past few weeks. Bell pepper shortage here, and a 3-pack is now $7. Lori says, we have a grandson diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at age 5. No, he wasn't a little fat kid. He was very skinny, in fact, always ate very good. But he has done all the things his doctor said he could never do, such as riding bulls, bullfighting, and now works construction. but he can't get insurance through his company because of pre-existing condition. So he has to buy insulin and supplies through a slide scale fee. Since he needs both long and short-acting insulin, this month his cost went from $38 a month for all his supplies and insulin to $148 with a different long-acting insulin. Problem is he's tried the other long-acting insulin at least twice that's actually covered, and it doesn't work for him. It really stinks what big pharma and insurance companies are doing to us. It's not about what's good for you, it's about what makes them money. Gazelle says, medical collapse. My husband was diagnosed with a heart problem, put on a lot of medications and rapidly going downhill, dying. Surprise, misdiagnosed, and medications they put him on were indeed killing him. He has diabetes. Go figure, off the heart meds and is bouncing back. Able to walk again. Also very dehydrated when he was hospitalized, a few hours from dying. No IV fluids, lapsing in and out of consciousness. Thank God we finally found a good doctor after 7 years that figured out it wasn't his heart and got him off the toxic medications. Be aware the medical system is very dangerous. Use with care. You have to be your own advocates. We keep saying that over and over again. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard where people misdiagnosed or mismedicated. You have to be asking questions and doing your own research. Michael says, in North Carolina, the local hospital has been turning people away. Word on the street is no beds, but the whole truth is that they have no nurses or doctors, no staff. They have a whole floor full of beds, but nobody to work them. Cliver says, UK. The Marxist government here has just passed a law that spares Middle Eastern religions, or that one, and ethnic criminals from jail, but white British people will be jailed. The Labour Party here is like your Democrats. They hate the people. Tricia says, I just got home from one of the Costco's in Omaha, Nebraska. I was surprised that there were no onions, kale, and very little canned milk. Anyone else missing onions? Kenneth says, went to our Memphis Walmart store just 3 days ago. The frozen treat coolers were completely empty. The lunch meat section was now in cases with doors. The middle aisle in back where the hams and other food were kept are now in cases with lids that raise up. A lot of self-checkout lines, but few opened. This is around 5 p.m. in the evening when most people would stop to go home. Tanya says, West Yorkshire, UK. I just went shopping today at my local Aldi. The beef prices are going up. On New Year's Eve 2024, a 500 gram or half a kilo pack of 20% fat minced beef was $2.49. Today, just 2 months later, it's now $2.99. That's a 20% increase in just 2 months. If you want a 5% lean pack, it'll cost you $3.99 pounds. Pork has now gone up about 12%. So we're seeing big cost increases in meat and pork over in the UK, as well as all over the place. Please be getting stocked up, especially on beef, friends, because we're going to have a beef storm coming our way very shortly. All right, friends, if you have something to share, make sure you use the word update somewhere in your comment. If you want to find out more about Genesis Gold Group and what they can do with your retirement account, there's a link right there. Just fill out your information. They'll get in contact with you. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up there. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.